Everybody, welcome into the 9 p.m. stream, the second of two streams that I, Pugs Moran, do each and every day here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform, radiomisfits.com, for all your podcast needs. They got a really cool podcast that's, I don't know if it's out yet. Let me see. Let me check. Actually, wait, I can't do that as easily as I thought. Radio Misfits has really cool if you're a fan of true crime. They got we got to have it. Let's bring James in. Here we go. James Parker, the other half of Pugs Parker at 9 o'clock. We gotta have Ed on because he's got this really awesome new podcast. It's a true crime thing, so maybe we ought to hear it. We ought to hear what this true crime story is about, and maybe we can sink our teeth into it. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. As I say, this is the second of two streams that I do every day. This one, Pugs and Parker, comes on at 9 p.m. Look at that. Look at your clock. 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Thursday evenings. And then I do something at noon every day called High Noon. Tell you about that at the end of the show. But if you like current events, that's what it is. Topics. All right, James, floor is clear. We're set for whatever.
Okay, so we're expecting a call at 9:05 from a friend of my childhood she may hold the record for my friend who's been arrested the most amount of times. And that's a bold statement because I know a lot of people who've been arrested double-digit times. Not that I went and seek these people out, but just it's a high honor if you win that title.
The person from Bug Tussle, James's roots, who's been arrested the most, is a high honor in your part.
Yeah, well, the guy who's in first place is actually from Garland, so that's not necessarily Bug Tussle centric. But she's supposed to be calling your cell phone at 9:05 from jail.
Okay.
So we're getting our first. This is an after-school special here. This is a
hello.
Hello. This is an NCIC operator calling from Smith County Sheriff's Office with a free call from. To accept this call, press 1. To decline this call, press 2. To disallow future calls.
1.
To accept this call and all future calls, press 1 now. To accept
wait. Why all future calls? Why am I signing up for all
By
future
pressing
calls?
1, this person will be permitted to leave you voicemail messages on future calls.
Can we see how this plays out? No, I'm kidding. She plays friend of the show.
All phone calls are subject to monitoring and recording.
Can always change my number.
You have 15 minutes available for this call.
Okay. James, take it.
All right, 15 minutes. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi.
Hey, so is that true? We only have 15 minutes for this call?
Yeah. So I'm going to call back. It's hard to what sound isn't here.
Okay. Okay, so first things first. One of the reasons why we're so interested in your story is because we feel like we're missing some pretty important details on why you've been arrested something to north of 20 times here. Now, the one thing that when people ask me about your story, they all hinge on the drug thing because you still haven't admitted that you've ever had a drug problem. You said, I've done drugs just like other people, which is true. I've experimented with drugs. Pugs has done his fair share of drugs, and half the people listening have dabbled in drugs, but none of us have been arrested 20 times.
Oh, half of us are probably on drugs right now.
I've never, I think you get confused when I say I've never been arrested for drug theft. When you get arrested, they charge you with everything they can. And so, like this time, this is the first drug charge I've ever caught, and this is the third time I've been 5 minutes on this charge, and I haven't been convicted of anything yet, James, and my bond is $150,000. I've been on pretrial, which is what I've been trying to tell you about this. Over half of the prisoners in here are pretrial offenders. You get on bond, and the court sets all these regulations on you. You can't drink, like when I saw you at the concert, I didn't have anything to drink. You can't do any drugs. You can't have a weapon. You have to go check in. I have to go piss once a week, and I have to be clean. And I've been doing that for a year. And I had a sinus infection, and my Allegra popped for amphetamine, so I have to wait. I've been here 22 days waiting for a hair follicle test. I don't have a court date until another week. So by the time I get a court date, I will have sitting here another 30 days with a $150,000 bond because my Allegra popped a drug test.
Now, what you're saying, I'm quite sympathetic to your cause here. However, the point still remains that you can't.
It's because of the drug problem, I don't.
No. Have you at some point? How do you rack up this many arrests without a drug problem? It's not that I'm calling you a liar. It's my experience and the guy listening experience that whenever someone gets arrested 20 times, that drugs has always been involved.
Well,
Drugs are not an issue. Drugs have never been an issue.
Okay,
My
so
temper has been an issue.
I think what did she say?
My temper has been an issue, but drugs have not been.
What was an issue?
My temper.
Oh, okay. So what was it? How did we get here? Where are you? What was the most recent situation with the local police that wound you up here?
Okay, right now I'm being charged by the fire marshal who was forced to resign. And I know
Slow down. We need you to slow down because your phone's a little fuzzy.
Okay. I'm being charged by the fire marshal. He was forced to resign. His name is Jay Brooks. You can look it up. He's a Smith County fire marshal, or he was. But because of his behavior, he was forced to resign about 2 months ago.
He was forced to retire?
Resign.
Okay.
Yes. He had to resign because he's falsely charging people and chasing people down. I was pulled over by his fire marshal truck. And there was a fire on one of my ex-boyfriend's property. And he blamed me, and they arrested me for arson. So I'm being charged with arson.
Why is your ex-boyfriend? What is it about you that your ex-boyfriend would charge you with arson?
I don't. He's a creep. I don't know.
Yeah, look, this is all very complicated, and there's a lot of moving parts, and you've been through a lot. So I'm trying to be as empathetic as I possibly can, because I like you, and I want to figure this out. We can figure this out together. But I mean, I don't think there's anybody in my life that would ever think to accuse me of arson. Right? Like, I don't have any friends that no matter how squirrely shit got between us, they would think that an arson charge could stick. Do you think being persecuted because your reputation precedes you?
I mean, that's possible, but I guess that's possible. But no, I think that I pick horrible men. I think that my ex had a severe drug problem, and he didn't want officials on his property. It was my property that was burning. I had a camper over there. And I was at church. He burnt it down, I guess, and he blamed me. It's a hearsay thing. I didn't think I would get indicted on it, but I did.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here for 90 days waiting to be released because I didn't think they would indict me on something I didn't do, but they did.
What is your bail? Or do you not have a bail?
Right now it's $150,000. So I would have to have $15,000. I would have to have $15,000 to get out.
Yeah, and that's a restrictive number for most working people.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting for a court date. Right now, it's the same charge. You keep getting arrested. Anything happens, you just keep getting arrested on the same charge, and they up your bond. It's very weird. That's the thing that I'm trying to get. Like, there's girls in here that have $400,000 bonds because they rig up their pretrial.
No,
that's crazy.
And look, you've got an advocate in that. James and I were just talking about that yesterday, and I brought this very situation up. This is something that's a real problem. But I mean, it seems to me like maybe we're moving the goalposts here a little bit with what your current.
Okay.
Let's worry about your current situation. Let's worry about how you got to where you are right now and how we make sure that this doesn't happen again. And I mean, I know some attorneys. I mean, let's convince.
I'm an attorney.
Yeah, no,
it costs $15,000.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't need help. You don't need help. And I guess that if anything else, I'm trying to be emotionally supportive. You know.
Well, the thing is, with attorneys here, though, everybody's involved with everybody here, and James knows that. It's the way it's always been in Smith County. There's a book about it. There's a movie about it. I mean, you can't really go against everybody here. Now they're saying the DA and everybody's changing hands on the 1st, and so I'm probably going to be sitting till after January, waiting so that they can dismiss my case.
Okay, so again, this is everything about it's about you. It's about you being targeted. This has nothing to do with behavior patterns, or habits that you have with the people you associate with.
I hate saying it, Pugs. I hate saying it.
Well, let me ask you this, because I think this is what a lot of people have in mind. How many times have you been arrested? Just ballpark, more than 20 times?
I mean, we're around 20 probably.
Okay, were any of them your fault?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
so
what negative behaviors will you admit to, even? Because that's what's kind of frustrating, is you haven't admitted to ever doing
anger. She says she loses her temper when cops.
My first charge was assault causing bodily injury.
So in the assault charge, the first charge was just against another civilian, or was this on a cop? Because I know that
I hit a man.
You hit a man.
And I knocked him out in one punch.
Self-defense?
Well,
Nope, that's a no. That's a no. I gave you a little bit of line there. You know.
I'm trying to say I don't ever say I'm guilty.
Okay.
You know, my brother had just passed away, and he said he didn't go for my brother was dead, and so I punched him in the face.
Yikes. Okay,
So you have some anger issues. We've got rage issues, anger issues. Yeah.
Okay, this ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
This ex-boyfriend.
Resisting arrest or resisting transportation that same night. Yeah.
Right. So the ex-boyfriend that got you arrested, you admitted he had a severe drug problem.
Yes, he does.
What was his bit? Meth?
He's in prison right now for meth.
Okay. Now, it has also been my observation, Pug's observation, and that of the dude listening to us, that usually if there's someone who's hardcore into drugs and they're in a relationship, be it long-term, serious, whatever, with someone else, they're probably, at least on some level, in the drug game too. And I don't mean necessarily selling it, but doing it. No.
I mean, I enjoyed marijuana very much. I haven't done anything over a year. His stuff was harder than my stuff.
Hang on. I didn't have to put caveats on it. I haven't done anything in over a year. This is why we're all suspicious. I believe you, but why can't you just say, "Oh, dude, I've
like marijuana."
Look, I know. Is this because you're trying to avoid saying incriminating things on the show that can be used against you in a trial later?
No, baby, no. I just like marijuana.
Okay. Hey, have you done meth more than 10 times?
Yeah.
Yes?
In my life, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you ever regret trying meth the first time? Because and the reason I ask is because I've never tried meth. Never tried meth, never tried crack, never tried any of that.
Yeah, I guess so. I did it after my brother passed away, but it's I guess a coping mechanism in a situation or circumstance.
Sure.
So I don't know if it would have been better for me not to have been doing drugs. I was in a lot of pain.
You might, sure, and I get that too. I suffer from depression. We talked about that the last time you were on. Okay, so you got some rage issues, you got some anger issues that probably need to be dealt with. Are we maybe seeing some dependency issues? I'm not saying addiction, but I'm saying that when the chips are down, you tend to feel dependent on you just said when you were mourning your brother is when you turned to meth. Has this been a habit in your life?
No, I mean, it's gotten better with that. I think marijuana is mostly to calm me down, help me sleep, and Xanax. But I have a prescription for Xanax. Mostly downers, But I do think that I've turned to drugs as a coping mechanism, if that's what you mean.
Okay, yeah, yes. Like we're just trying to figure the specter of the police force and the corruption therein, but yes. Also we're talking about personal behaviors and how these two things maybe collide to create this complete.
Well, once you get arrested here, everybody knows your name, and my name is not that hard to remember.
So they know you. They know you as
time too.
Like if you were walking down the street and a couple of cops were on the corner, would they be like, there's that Jen girl? Would they know you? Like in a small town, you don't ever want to be on the radar.
So, yes.
Yeah. So you're.
It's very naive to think that they don't. Yes. Everybody. Yes. People ever told us. I've been on the news in the last show probably 3 times, and some of it was stuff I didn't do, and a lot of it was stuff I didn't do. They exploit things in a very dramatic way. The fire marshal, I have my own wanted poster. The fire marshal that had to resign put an APD out on my truck and on me, and put it all over Facebook and 3 different news channels. And so I turned myself in.
You're famous with both law enforcement and fire prevention. That's what you're telling us. You're checking all the boxes.
Look, the thing is, like the fire marshal truck thing was a little ridiculous. Like, there's not a whole lot of people that get pulled over by a fire truck.
No, I've never
heard of that, Jen. And we're from Chapel Hill, and none of our friends got pulled over by a fire truck. You're the first, and that's a bold statement.
I've actually seen fire trucks pulled over, but I've never seen.
Right? Somebody... I mean, so I don't know. I mean, it's yeah.
What can we do to help? You have a chance to talk to the outside world, and maybe not a ton of people listen now, but other people.
I have a court date on the 16th, and I'll have picket signs that say "Free Jennifer Charlie" outside in front of the courthouse.
We're not going to do damn picket signs. What's something we could do that would actually help?
what kind of help are you currently receiving? That's what I want to know.
Really, my mom is going to be calling the U.S. Marshal because of these high bonds and the charges with the fire marshal that haven't been dropped yet. I'm hoping they will get dropped. I know it sounds ludicrous. That might take a while. The thing is, right now, I'm served 5 months on a charge I didn't even do. I think it'll pay out in the end, and all those charges will be dropped, but I don't get my 5 months back.
Yeah, yeah. How long is that? Like, how long are you sitting there behind bars? What kind of help are you receiving at the moment? Are you receiving legal aid, or do you have your own attorneys?
My attorney is subpar. I mean, I haven't been completely impressed. He acted like we were going to be able to get this charge dropped immediately. And then when the news crew was coming into all of my court things because of the fire marshal's poor behavior, I really felt good about it. And it's very obvious what the fire marshal did. He's been forced to resign, but I'm still sitting here with these charges pending, and I don't understand that. My mom's going to call the U.S. Marshals. I don't know who else needs to investigate, but the pretrial situation with me sitting in here on a $150,000 bond for something I didn't do is insane. I mean, I'm hoping I'm going to do a historical test, and I hope I'll get out, but I've got to be 30 days. I've been sitting here waiting on that. I don't really know. Do you know what an SI number is?
Hang on. Go ahead, Pugs. Go ahead.
I'm wondering, in your day-to-day life there in the county jail, are you receiving any kind of help? Are you talking to anybody? Is there a therapist? Is there a doctor? Or are there group sessions?
My mom, and that's it.
Okay.
But you can well, my SI number is a state offender number, and mine's 84666. And you can look it up on Jail ATM.
You say 84666?
84666. Yeah, I mean, anybody can message me.
Hey, you have 666 in your jail number?
That has been my SI number forever. Yes, I know, isn't it horrible? Yeah.
All right, what is the contact number?
1 minute remaining.
Oh.
It's jailATM.com. I appreciate you having me on.
What.com?
I'm get a message out about the bonds. It's JailATM. JailATM.com.
I'm trying to put it up on the screen. What is it?
JailATM. JailATM.com.
84666?
That's it.
Jail.
You can put money in my books or message me or whatever.
What is it?
You can pick it up.
What's
Jail
the
ATM.
No, the
Jail ATM.
Oh, JailATM.com.
And then 84666.
Yeah, I'm listening to Charlie. JailATM.
All right.
All right.
84666.
Hey, jail ATM does not work. What's the address? That doesn't work.
Your time is up.
Oh man.
Let's see if I can find it in Google searches. That's her time.
I don't know. I just put it up. Does that look right to you?
Let's see. Yeah, but this website, I guess this is legit. It looks like I don't know. It looks like it was made a long time ago, but maybe it works. All right. Ooh, video call. Email inmate, send money now. All right. Well, that's the next installment on the Jennifer Jolly saga. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with that. See, I want to help her, but why is it so frustrating when people don't just go, yeah, dude, I messed up a whole lot on drugs, dude, and I'm clean now, but yes, I was a wreck. I made a lot of bad decisions. This is mostly my fault, but right now I'm being screwed. Why is that so hard for people?
I don't know. Hold on, let me fix this for her. All right, hold on. Sorry. How do you spell her name? Is it just Jen, Jenn?
Yeah, Jennifer.
All right. Here, we'll do it like this. Yeah.
See, so I like this question over here because, I see this quite a bit and totally understand it. Elise said, how do you try meth the first time? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you try meth the first time? And I've had to make this explanation because I'm not incredibly proud of this, but I've tried meth before, and we're talking 25 years ago.
You hillbilly. Checking all the boxes. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't really even mess with that stuff until I moved to Dallas. But when you go and you're hanging out with friends, and literally everyone else is doing it and you don't do it,
Yeah.
fine, you get by. You do that 10 times and you see that no one's having any negative consequences. Aside from one or two strays, most of the people that do it don't do it during the week. They can keep a job. They're
When you never run into somebody who's been doing it for 5 years and their teeth are all rotted out in these circles, or is it all people just started at the same time as you?
You
I mean,
do,
isn't that
but
a
when you're in the
warning?
community, you recognize what the stats bear out, and it's like less than 6% of people who try hard drugs ever develop an addiction, and that accounts cocaine. Yeah. You know?
Can I point out my boy John in the chat room? I would never try meth, but respect people that try.
But no, at least is asking an honest question that people just don't understand because you know, it's the same reason like when Nancy Reagan was saying, well, just say no, how that was just totally divorced from reality and not an adequate discussion to have with the next generation if you want them to understand and process what's going on. But at least she's totally right. She says, I'm just curious how people get into it. I totally understand, because if I hadn't been around people that were already into it, I used to think that. I used to think, how do you ever stick a needle in your arm the first time? Or how do you ever like blow a line up your nose the first time? And you know, that now I see it's the same way people start smoking weed or drinking beer.
I think in how do I say this without being a terrible, but it is kind of I think I never saw it, man. I never saw, I never saw cocaine either though until I came to Dallas. I never saw meth. Like I never saw meth in the Midwest. We were all and it's not like, well, you're just some rube from the South Side. No, dude, I was on a big morning show with celebrities and we were going to big baller parties in big city. I just never saw cocaine. It wasn't really a thing in that crowd. So when I came to Dallas, I saw it. I certainly never saw meth. And I wonder, I mean, I don't even know if I'd had occasion to be around people who were doing, you know what I mean? I never saw it. So I don't know. And I went to parties, house parties and stuff, that's where I first saw cocaine, but not meth. So I don't know. It doesn't look appealing to me. So let's say I am in a situation where people are trying it, not now, but let's say it's 20 years ago and I'm going for it. I'm full on Bluto. I'm partying. We're going hard. I don't think I would have tried that. Cocaine, yeah. I was like, yeah, give me some. And then you snort it. You're like, yeah, okay. But no, I don't want to smoke anything in a glass pipe. I don't want to inject anything. I'm not taking any pills that you've just got in your pocket that you're handing out. No, I'm not doing any of that. Although I did do the pill thing once and it turned out to be ecstasy and it was awesome. But just as a rule, I don't do it.
Well, I can't imagine the needle thing, but I can kind of imagine anything else. Because what if there was a drug you could take that basically you smoked it or snorted it, or I don't know, put a teardrop in your eye or something. But what if it just like gave you an orgasm and then there was like no side effects? It wasn't addictive. You just go on about your day. I would snort a line if that
is cocaine from like 1940 through about 1987. That's what people thought. That's why cocaine became so popular in such high-end elitist circles, because there were no ramifications for using it. It wasn't addictive. Dude, the line on cocaine, like the story on cocaine, the narrative behind cocaine in, say, 1981, when John Belushi started, when people started dying, the argument was, no, man, it's not addictive. It's great. It doesn't show up in drug tests. It's fine. And here's the most important thing. It was an expensive drug. So only the best people had it. So it was a whole different kind of vibe. There was a sophistication that I think now projected onto cocaine. To me, it was Studio 54 and guys in tuxedos and, girls in ball gown, that kind of thing. I associated anything that needed to be smoked in a glass pipe with like crack. With like the absolute lowest of society. So yeah, I don't know. But there was an elegance and a sophistication that I think I put on cocaine that I certainly would never have done with meth or crank or anything like that.
Right. Well, look, not to get political here, but as a libertarian, basically everything about Jennifer's story abrases me like sandpaper. I don't think any of these drug laws are legit. I was just having my discussion with my kids earlier this week about how prohibition was such a huge embarrassing failure, and the one lesson we should all learn from it is that if you take an addictive drug that has negative consequences to society, it'll have even more negative consequences if you make it illegal. And, you know,
we've seen that over and over again.
And we learned, I thought we would have learned our lesson with alcohol, and then, you know, prohibition. That should have been the end of any sort of drug prohibition, but we're sort of learning that lesson slowly, painfully slow, with marijuana, and then mushrooms are right after that. But I think at some point we're all going to look back and think it was ridiculous that they were ever illegal to begin with, because not only does Jennifer have problems with drugs, now she has legal problems, and she's on another downward spiral, which is the other thing about being a libertarian that makes me just hate all of this. She shouldn't even be in jail in the first place.
The county's making money off her, at least on paper, with what she owes in fines. And then the county can use that on paper for all kinds of things, loans to build a new stadium, you know, whatever they need, paving the roads. But on paper, that's why this is being done, because, you know, finding poor people who can rack up fines and who can't pay their way out of jail and will just be, you know, the plebes that we throw into the gristmill, finding those people and milking them for everything they got is how essentially America runs. Whether it's cameras on speeding cameras, or, you know, traffic tickets or parking tickets, we run on exploiting the vulnerabilities of the poorest, or at least the middle class.
And it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal to see all this happening from the point of view of a guy who doesn't even think this stuff should be illegal. And then you're going to stack on top of that, she got pulled over by a dude from the fire department.
No, I know that shouldn't even be a thing. I don't even know that will that hold up in court. Yeah, I would not pull over I'd get out of the way of the fireman, but then if he pulled behind me, I'd get out of the way again because I'd think I'm at the fire.
Yeah,
right?
I'm getting out of your way because I assumed you were going to a fire, not knick-knacking me for burning down some meth head's camper.
That is ludicrous. Hold on, I gotta let the dog in. Hold on. She was pulled over. This whole thing started because she got pulled over by a fireman. That's hysterical. Only in Texas, man. I gotta tell you, maybe not only in Texas, but certainly only in rural America. That wouldn't play in Brooklyn. You know, you couldn't.
Yeah. Is that a true story though? I think so. So this is a girl I've known literally since kindergarten. When we were like 6 years old, we played on the same soccer team growing up, like when little bitty kiddos all swarm like a beehive around the ball. And we both went to a tiny little school out here in Bug Tussle, kindergarten through 12th grade. And there's about 50, 60 of us that were kindergarten through 12th grade. And all these people are like distant family. They're just like third cousins and stuff. No. What should have followed? What are you talking about? What's taking so long with dog pugs? I was thinking maybe there's a basketball player we could trade her for, or maybe like an arms dealer. Can we trade Jen for like some guy who sells bombs to Iran or something? That seems to be the cool thing. Maybe Odell Beckham Jr. Are we getting that guy? Did we get him? Is that official yet?
All right, I'm sorry. That took longer than I thought because I don't know if it's raining by you out there.
I was just thanking them for tolerating this story that kind of seems like it's coming out of left field. Like, why do y'all care about this one random person that got arrested out in the middle of nowhere? Because it's not that random. It's a bizarre story.
It's interesting.
I haven't gotten to the bottom of it still. And if we're all going to do these true crime stories where we get to the bottom of Gabby Petito or whatever happened in Idaho or whatever, we can throw this one in and we can try and solve this mystery and actually help out a friend of the family.
I think it's fascinating. I think her story is interesting. And, she calls from jail. I wish they had better phones in jail.
Yeah, right.
All right. I do want to get into this.
The trade.
Other big story of the day. Yeah.
Maybe we could trade a basketball player for Jennifer, or trade her for an arms dealer or something.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So go ahead. You want to talk about it? Let's throw it out there. The Brittany Griner situation. She was. We got her back from Russia, from Putin, from some labor camp that she was in. We had to give up Victor Boot, who is a pretty big thing to give up for. James, you got some thoughts on this? Because I'm going to rant. So why don't you go ahead and lay down, because I got some real thoughts on how tits up this whole thing. Go ahead.
There is a strong, huge place in my heart for Americans locked up abroad unjustly. However, I'm glad she's out of jail, but this wasn't an unjust imprisonment.
Nope.
I don't agree with the law. I think it's a stupid law. I think the
Yep.
punishment is absolutely ludicrous. But she broke the law there. It's not like she's being politically persecuted. And then the other thing that bugs me about this, again, I'm glad she's not in jail. I'm glad she's back home in America. You know, I'm happy for her family and her wife and all that good stuff. But don't we have like hundreds of thousands of people locked up in America for what she did, and they're still in jail? Like, why are we fighting for her to get out of jail? And if it's wrong for her to be in jail, why isn't it wrong for my neighbors? Why isn't it wrong for Jennifer? Why isn't it wrong for my Chris's dad? I know plenty of people that are in jail for drugs right now. I know plenty of people have been in jail for drugs previously, and their life's already ruined. Even though they're out of jail now, they can't go get a job at a bank. They can't,
Right. Destroys their life.
So,
just to answer Jeff's question, Jeff says, is he the guy that Lord of War was inspired by? Yes. Nicolas Cage played Victor Boot in the film Lord of War, if you've ever seen it. Yeah, that's
I love that movie.
That's Victor Boot. That's the guy we gave back to Russia. He's a former Soviet colonel who was in the right place at the right time when the Soviet Union fell. Do you know what his story is? You know what he did? He was a colonel when the Soviet Union fell apart, and he happened to be in charge of an air base. So as the Soviet Union was falling apart, he flew all of the planes down to some airstrip in Africa. And like 2 days after the Soviet Union fell, he was running the largest independent charter service in Africa with all these Russian military planes, that he was the colonel of the base. So, and that's how he became an international arms trader, because he would fly anything out of Africa. That was his base of operation. And it was all these old Antonov Russian military planes that he just took them. He started this.
That part. That wasn't in the movie.
Now, he started this multi-billion-dollar business just by going, all right, I am in charge here, and let's take all these planes, fly them to Africa. You can't do that, Colonel. Who are you going to tell? That's what was going on in Russia. So he starts this business, and over the years, he became one of the world. First of all, he's a polyglot. The dude is brilliant. The guy speaks 7 different languages. He speaks Farsi and Saudi Arabian. He speaks all of the.
Well, that's essential in the arms dealing world.
Right. Yeah. Because he first made his money working with the United States. He was a Soviet expat. Right. He was one of these guys who got out after the Soviet Union fell. He's living in Africa. It sounds like kind of a cool life. Right. I mean, certainly exciting, probably having sex with a multitude of exotic looking women.
Here's what I understand. He is of Ukrainian descent, but when the Soviet Union collapsed, he was high up in the military, but he happened to be in Tajikistan. And so when, all the republics broke off, Russia didn't have control of him. Russia could not control, because he was out of the country. And, it's not like he left the country. The border crossed him more than anything else. And so then he became like the greatest military free agent of our lifetime.
Yeah. And here's how he started. He started by providing arms to the Northern Alliance, which we know from our Northern Alliance was the army that was raised up by a young Osama bin Laden, underneath the tutelage of the CIA and other black organizations. Why? To fight the Russians, who had just, been causing trouble in the area. Syria, I think, was the reason for that. It doesn't go as far back as Afghanistan. I think this was Syria. Anyway, so he's dealing with the Northern Alliance, and then the Northern Alliance falls apart, and we all kind of forget about him, right? And so the 90s go by, and what happens? Northern Alliance turns into Al-Qaeda. And so now all of a sudden, Victor Boot, he's getting phone calls from his old buddies with the Northern Alliance. We're starting a new business and we need some new stuff. So he's providing for them. He's provided for FARC. FARC is the Colombian terrorist organization.
The communists.
Communist freedom fighters. So he's provided for FARC, he's provided for ISIS, he's provided for all of the, he's the merchant of death. If you were to say to a random person on the stage, name a big cocaine cartel leader, they would say, who? Pablo Escobar, right? That's the one they can name. If you ask the same question, name a global arms dealer, they'll say the merchant of death, because of the movie, because of the A&E specials, because of, So anyway, this dude is a legit scary MFer. This guy is, and here's the other thing. nobody's really sure about why Putin wants him back so bad. It may just be because they want to kill him, because he may have been, trading secrets with a whole bunch of different. We don't really know. But the point is, when we arrested him, we made the world safer. And isn't that the big bullshit that we put out there about why we do these things? This guy this guy didn't accidentally smuggle a vape pen into Russia. Okay. This guy is a legit criminal. This guy is a legit monster. And we had to give him up. We had to put him back into the wind. Now, maybe Putin will kill him. Who knows? Or maybe he'll just go back into the wind and start funding, whatever terror organization pops up next. So we had to let him go to get what exactly? A celebrity? What is that? First of all, Putin's giving up nothing because she doesn't know anything. It's not like she's a spy that they can get details of shit out of. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, she is a liability. She just food.
She's a bargaining chip for him. This is how he probably played us the whole time to get Victor Bout back. He was going to make, he was going to wait for the LeBron James and the Whoopi Goldbergs and all of these people to take to their social medias and start demanding that the United States give up a real asset for a celebrity. And look, it's Christmas time and Biden, Biden's had, I'm a guy in the middle. Biden's had a whale of a 6 month. I'm sorry, but he's had a good 6 months. He won the midterms, at least insofar as they defined it. He had the respect for marriage thing. Anyway, this is just like too far. I don't understand. This is a dumb ass. This is a stupid thing that the Biden administration did simply for good press amongst a certain group of Americans. Meanwhile, the rest of us normal Americans are going, wait, we gave up one of the world's most dangerous people for a basketball player because LeBron James demanded it? What? Yeah. That's what's got me about this whole thing.
Yeah, and look, not to soft pedal the merchant of death, but the guy who is selling the guns to the terrorists is not nearly on the same level of evil as the terrorists that are using them. And if you take this guy out, terrorists are still going to get weapons. It's like if you take out Pablo Escobar, they're still going to be doing cocaine in Miami.
Well, you severely damage a worldwide network, and you inconvenience something. It is certainly a positive step for our side in the war against terror.
Yeah, but you can inconvenience them, but the Houthi rebels aren't going to put their guns down and be like, "Oh, guys, we're running short on bullets. Maybe we should negotiate for peace." No,
well, also let's not soft sell it. This guy was also thought for many years to be in control of what was rumored to be missing nukes from the old Soviet arsenal. So the fear with this guy, the big why it was so urgent to catch him was because he could sell the materials for a dirty bomb that could, take out Boston.
But I feel, and again, this is soft. I don't know. This is my opinion, so I'm not saying this is fact, but I feel like a lot of people are exaggerating how dastardly this Boot guy is because they want to accelerate the outrage about the.
Yeah, he's not Dahmer. He's not Hitler. He's not. But
also, remember my point of view. Again, not to bring it up, I'm a libertarian, so selling guns to people who live in gun control zones isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, And there's a great case to be made that locking this guy up. Did it slow down terrorism a bit? Did it slow down the wars around the world just a bit? I mean, it might.
We could never know. All we would be doing is speculating from a position. We're not read in. We don't have intelligence clearance. We don't know.
Also, maybe some guy steals weapons from the former Soviet Union and sells them to Africa and Iran and whoever else.
Yeah.
How did he break any of our laws? Why is that even any of our business? I don't. Yeah. Why is he in our jail? There's something going on that I don't understand here. I don't get it.
We as a nation have been straddling the fence between are we the world's police or are we basically adherents to some form of the Monroe Doctrine where we don't get involved? Which are we? Because if we are, I'm fine. Look, either one, you can make your case to me that we should be either one, but we need to go full force if we're going to be one or the other. See, we can't be doing this, pick and choose where we intervene around the world, right? I mean, that's some nonsense. So if we're worried about global terror, about some disco in Indonesia going up on a Saturday night, if we're really concerned about that, that there are ways for us to show the might and the width of the United States military if we're truly committed. But we're not. We're not committed to any of that. They talk out of both sides of their mouths.
And we shouldn't be, because we can't. We don't have infinite resources to deal with the infinite amount of problems on planet Earth. And how about we get our own stuff cleaned up here? Because while the point still stands that while we lifted heaven and earth and turned over terrorists to get one pothead out of prison in Russia, have 100,000 or so in prison in the United States, and then that's a horrible kind of bile taste.
But it also wouldn't be that. I mean, it would be through coalition building, and we would build the coalitions through economic pressures because we're also an economic. It's these kinds of things. But that you're right. It's not realistic. It is not realistic for us to think that we can hold the world accountable to a set of values that we here hold near and dear. Now, I also don't think it's possible to be isolationist. We are a connected world right now. You can talk to somebody in Australia. We could talk to somebody in Australia right now if we wanted to. So this whole idea that we shouldn't be even tangentially involved in the affairs of the world, I don't know if that's tenable either, because the world is becoming one global marketplace. So it's difficult.
Isolationist is a pejorative to describe the foreign policy that's just less hawkish than the mainstream in most cases. And I get called an isolationist, and I'm certainly not an isolationist. In fact, I'm a guy who, in some ways, is more globalistic and pro-globalizing than the mainstream thought, especially when it comes to economics. Like the whole tariff war that Trump was doing with China, did that take China down a peg, or did that just inconvenience our businesses and raise costs? Like
China's in trouble. China's in big political trouble right now. Xi's missing. They haven't seen him.
Look, I'm a free trader, and minimal tariffs. I understand that some of them have to exist at some point. But if the Roman Empire can keep import tariffs to like 1 or 2%, depending on where it came from, we should be able to do something similar. But we don't have that. We have the Jones Act, and we have all kinds of these other regulations that inhibit our contact with the outside world and limit it. And so, I'm not an isolationist in the fact that I would like to do business, and more business, be more open, more immigrants, more travel.
I'm a capitalist, baby. Let's go. But I'm a benevolent capitalist. I think it ought to be fair.
But this thing where, there's these two other countries that have a beef with each other, and we pick sides and start lobbing missiles into it. Not a big fan of that.
But here's why I'm not a big fan of that, because we don't pick sides based on any moral anchor. We pick sides based on what is the best interest of us economically. Would you agree with that? When we pick sides in a skirmish, it's because who do we want to win? What would be better for us? What would be? We don't pick sides because we agree with this particular ideology over this ideology, or this village has a beef and we agree with it and they should stand up to this oppressive God. No, it's always just about who is the better outcome for us, and that's who we're going to back. And that's troubling.
And this isn't an American thing. This is something that gets repeated over and over and over throughout history. The guy that was your ally 5 years later, 10 years later, is your worst enemy. So while we thought Iran was our biggest, worst enemy, and while Saddam Hussein had his moral foibles, he was certainly wasn't as bad as Iran. Funding him in the long run turned out to be a really stupid idea. And while the Soviet Union was our biggest, scariest enemy in the 80s, and we thought, well, even though Al-Qaeda has its own little moral questionability, we can go ahead and fund these and just lob a whole bunch of weapons their way. What could possibly go wrong? Well, 9/11, and then a 20-year war with Al-Qaeda after we were backing them in a 10-year war with Russia. So even if we think we have it right, the record of history is pretty clear that there's about a 50-50 chance we're funding the people that are going to end up being our enemies anyway.
And we just we can take this conversation even deeper, but I do want to spread out a little bit on this Brittany Griner story, because there's more aspects to it that I want to discuss with you. But never mind. Let me can we talk about the other moving part in the Brittany Griner thing, which is, of course, the Marine, the heroic, brave Marine left behind.
Paul Whelan.
Paul Whelan. Yeah. So, are you familiar with Paul at all?
Look, I've just done this too much. I feel like this guy can't be the lion, the messiah that they're making him out to. Oh, we have this perfect guy over here that did nothing wrong, and we're not trading something for him. I'm skeptical. I'm sure if you go Google it, he did something to piss off Putin or
Well, it's not hard. New York Times, London Post. There's all kinds. I read a whole bunch about him today because I was trying to get.
Nobody's telling me why he's in a prison in Russia. It lets me know that there's a reason why they're not telling me. I don't even need to know what it is. I just know.
We do know why he's in prison. He was caught red-handed, and that's never been disputed by anybody.
I don't know the story. Seriously, this is just how much I've watched the news.
So here's the deal. Here's how the narrative is being pushed because it's politically advantageous to one side to have this be believed ideal. So the story is that they left a Marine behind. They left a Marine. We have now.
Willem Dafoe in Platoon. See, this is where I don't buy this. I'm such a skeptical, cynical butthead.
Just go for a walk with me. So when you hear that, if you don't really know much about this stuff and you just hear, whatever you hear on Facebook or whatever, and you see they left a Marine behind, you're imagining that this guy, Paul Whelan, is a 24-year-old fit young Marine who was there on duty doing something and they snatched him off the street in one of those black vans. That's the idea that they're kind of pushing. Right. They left a Marine behind. Dude, Paul Whelan is a 52-year-old man. Can I tell you a little bit about Paul Whelan? First of all, God bless him. He's not an American. He was born and spent most of his life in Canada. He emigrated to America, at which point he joined the Marines. He was made a citizen. He had dual citizenship, America and Canada. He joined the Marine Corps. James, he was court-martialed dishonorably from the Marine Corps like 20 years ago.
Dishonorable, but I get you.
20 years ago, he was writing bad checks. He was running scams, and he stole up. He was convicted by courts-martial of stealing more than $10,000. So we don't know if it's $10,001 or if it's, $100,000, whatever. But that's what he was court-martialed and drummed out of the military for. So calling him a Marine today is you're trying to make trouble, and you're hoping that people that don't know the story about how he was court-martialed will be like, a Marine? Oh, Biden or whatever. It doesn't matter.
I knew it was something like this, dude. I knew it would be something like this.
James, here's the other thing about this guy, Gary Whelan, who was drummed out of the Marine Corps for, this mischievous theft and all that. Do you know a lot of times what happens when somebody he was a lieutenant, what happens a lot of times when somebody gets drummed out of the military after they've reached an officer's rank, after they get convicted of a court-martial? Do you think they go flip burgers? No, they get recruited by the CIA. That's almost exclusively where the CIA, they find people. If you're a general and you get court-martialed, you're probably going to, well, anyway, that's the belief on Paul Whelan, but we'll get to that. Take a walk with me on Paul Whelan. Paul Whelan, James, has citizenship, a 52-year-old man. He has citizenship in 4 countries. He is a legal citizen of Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Ireland. Why? Why does he need that? Why does he have 4 passports from 4 different countries?
Yeah, I thought we didn't allow that in America.
I don't know. Well, maybe if he was a Canadian first. Anyway, so remember, brave young American Marine that we left behind for this dirtbag celebrity stoner, right? That's the narrative that's going around. Here's the reason they didn't let him go. Because he's actually a criminal. See, Brittany Griner isn't actually a criminal. She did something stupid and Putin's just fucking with her and he's like, yeah, whatever. Paul Whelan is actually a criminal. Paul Whelan was arrested. So let's cover it up. He's got 4 different passports. He's an international guy. He travels all around the world. Isn't that interesting for a guy who got jumped out of the military? I mean, wouldn't you think he would have difficulty getting a job? And now it seems like he's an international jet setter for the last 20 years.
Hey, just to allay some confusion, why don't you change the caption there?
Oh, yeah. Is it time? I was hoping to give her a little bit of... All right. So he also speaks 5 languages. He's got 4 passports, drummed out of the Marine Corps. What else? Oh, yeah. He was in Russia because theoretically somebody in American... He speaks Russian, which is weird. But that's another weird thing. He speaks like 5 languages. Russian is one of them. So he went to Russia because a friend of his was getting married in Russia, in Moscow. And he was asked, because they were having people come into town, he was asked to be there because he knows Russia and that he could show him around and all that stuff, right? Okay, so whatever that's about. He doesn't, that's the reason he's there. That's the cover. He doesn't show up to the wedding. The whole reason that he's there, he doesn't show up to the wedding. Instead, he meets with an FSB agent, basically a Russian spy, and he is handed a flash drive from this Russian spy while he's supposed to be at the wedding. Remember, the reason he's in the country is at this wedding. So while he's at he wasn't at the wedding because he was being arrested. As soon as she handed him the flash drive, he was arrested on espionage because you know what? He is a spy. He is a total spy, and that's why he's there. Now, I'm not saying bad guy. No, I love our spies. I think he's one of ours. I think that's probably why they're keeping him there. So, but man, don't tell me that spies don't know what they're signing up for. You know what I mean? Spies are doing dangerous work. This is a 52-year-old man. He's got 4 passports, 4 different countries, dishonorably discharged from the Marine Corps. I am not saying that he is evil or that he is bad or deserves to die in a gulag. What I'm saying is there is a very rational and understandable reason as to why he's still there. It has nothing to do with Biden or whoever only wanting the basketball player. It's because he's a legit, now he should have been traded straight up for Victor Boot. That would have been the trade because, see, then we would have both gotten something. We would have gotten something back. They would have actually had to give up something because he's got stuff for him. They believe him to be a United States spy. He's got stuff. So they're holding on to him.
Spy, kind of.
Yeah, Brittany got nothing for him. Right. So that would be a natural trade. But this freaking administration, they traded the celebrity basketball player who was giving absolutely nothing. She was of no value to the to the Russians. It was of no value to them. And she was traded for an international arms dealer. Why? Because a certain specific voting bloc in America needed to be handed a victory by Biden. This is the people who think that LeBron James is their god. You know what I mean? This is who we're demanding it. The LGBTQ community, God bless them. She shouldn't have done what she did. Can we all just agree that she did a stupid thing that none of us, if we were traveling to Russia, would do? Right?
Hey, bro, don't sneak drugs into Russia. They ain't playing. They don't do what we do over here.
Does that who even needs to hear that? Right? Like needs? Apparently Brittany Griner did because she brought her weed pen with her to Russia. She created this whole situation. It was so unavoidable, so unnecessary, and so stupid. And at the end of the day, we took a huge loss because there was insane pressure to forgive her of the stupid mistake that she made on the international stage. All right, I'm done.
Maybe we could have traded Kanye for her or something.
There you go. Maybe at least he'd, be able to put on some shows.
So I follow an account called Black People Twitter. And I assume this is the legit official spokesman for the entire Black community. But once something I saw on their account today that kind of made sense that I think applies to more than just Black Americans. It said, all right, now that Brittany Griner's out, Black people don't go to Russia. There's nothing for us over there. And so for the most part, like, no one's casually going to Russia, right?
No.
And there's a reason for that, because if you color outside of the lines, you go to prison for 9 years and no one's going to do anything for you. And the lesson is none of us are Brittany Griner. If we go to jail in Russia, no one's going to have a negotiation for us. No one's going to give a rip.
Spot on. We take the full brunt of whatever it is. If we're not, and Brittany, here's the thing: we blew this bullet. What happens if this is Robert Downey Jr.? Now we got nothing to give up because we gave it all up for the WNBA player, one of our most beloved character actor, one of our beloved leading actors. Now Robert Downey Jr.'s got to stay in prison. It's absolutely absurd to me what we gave up. For nothing other than for, what? Joy Reid on MSNBC to applaud the Biden administration. I don't get it. I think most normal Americans with a brain who are looking at the situation went, we got hosed in this deal. We got nothing, and they got exactly what they wanted.
Again, we probably need to stress, we're glad she's out of jail. Yeah. I'm glad anytime an American gets returned from an overseas prison, if something as piddly as a weed pen, but yeah, pretty.
Yeah, I mean, in the macro, we both agree. This shouldn't be an issue. It should be legal. But in the micro of this story, she fucked up. Really we all know it's not legal yet, and and we had to give up. We had to give up the Merchant of Death because she fucked up. Excuse me.
I tell you another argument I like, because look, we're pro Britney, but we're keeping it rational here. One of the arguments I saw is, isn't it sad that LeBron James can make $40 million a month or whatever he makes a year? Well, I don't know what his salary is, but tens of millions of dollars every year. But Brittany Griner has to take a second job playing in some second world countries professionally because the WNBA doesn't pay enough. Bitch, she makes like 10 times as much money as I do. She doesn't need to go to Russia for the money. And
the Russian deal was 3 times her WNBA contract. She was playing for $1 million, and apparently she makes like 350,000, which seems about right for the WNBA. You know,
I'm
being generous. Yeah, it does. It seems a little high. I think the WNBA players should make as much as, like, I don't know, a mid-market afternoon drive DJ. You know, maybe like in that 75 to 150 tops. You know,
what does a minor league player make in the CBA? That's about what they should make. That's whatever.
Wait. Okay, so you mean like so in the NBA they have the G League. The G League is their minor league, and I don't know what they make. I know a lot of those guys are already signed to contracts, so they make pretty good money.
We got a time for one more quickie here.
Yeah. Whatever you need.
So here, this is pretty cool. I'm 45 years old. I hadn't been able to say this in a long time.
So your birthday?
No.
Oh, I don't. Well, you said that like it was your birthday, and I don't check Facebook, so I don't know anybody's birthday.
No, I'm not saying that because it's my birthday. I'm saying it's because I'm 45 years old and I got to try a new drug.
What'd you get to try?
Kratom.
Imodium? What?
I thought it was pronounced kratom, but I think it's pronounced kratom because that's how they were saying it.
Oh.
So the redhead went to Florida this weekend. They went to see the Tom Brady turning around on the Saints. They went to a Bucs game. But while they were in Florida, they went to this tea bar that had kratom and chaga and some other legal drugs that I've never tried. And the wife said, it was pretty good. I think you would like it. Let's go get some. So I went and got some, and it was pretty good. I liked it.
I'm not a fan of legal drugs.
Me neither. I'm so skeptical of legal drugs. It's like, if it's not coming in like a sketchy Ziploc, I mean, do you even know what you're getting here?
If the government hasn't decided that we might have too much fun, then I don't want to try it. if the government thinks we're going to have too much fun, it'll be illegal. And that's what I want to try. But if the government thinks, you know what, this is actually that's almost what it tells me when something like that is like, so what is the high? What is kratom? What do you do? It sounds like something you put in a smoothie. What is it, like a powder? What is it?
See, I got turned off on legal drugs because, you know, back in the day when you smoke weed and you don't have like a real job, there's no negative consequences. But you go start working for major corporations, you're like, I can't have this stuff swimming around in my system. So let me try this legal alternative. So you go try and like legal weed, and it's awful.
Terrible.
Oh God.
You don't know what it is. But how was the kratom? Tell me about the kratom.
So the kratom, I'm a little more optimistic about, because one of the problems with the legal weed that I tried in the past is it was just some other herb, and they would spray the chemical on it that got you messed up. Like it wasn't actually part of the herb.
Right. So
this is actually just a plant that's ground up that gives you a little bit of a buzz. And it gives you a little bit of a buzz. It's not too much. It's not that strong, but it is something, and it is kind of fun, and it is kind of cheap. And so
fun, cheap highs. That's how crack started.
No, right. That's where I'm headed now. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like the Delta 8. I haven't tried that, but what do you think of that?
Me neither. I haven't tried Delta 8. I don't want to. You know what happened? Here's what would happen if I tried Delta 8. If I went up to the legal vape store or whatever and I bought some Delta 8 and I came home and smoked it, you know what I would do? I would take 2 hits and then I would call a weed dealer. I'd be like, well, I guess I'm getting high again, so I might as well smoke the real stuff. I haven't smoked weed since I moved back down here. I mean, a couple of occasions socially and all that, but not on a regular basis like I did when it was legal in Illinois. That was nice.
All right. My first dose of kratom was this afternoon. It wore off after about 2 hours. It did work. I was.
What do you mean dose? How did you do it? Do you smoke it? Do you eat it? Do you sniff it? How do you ingest it?
Okay, so smoking doesn't work. It comes in a powder. The version we bought, and we.
Okay, so it looks like a powder, not. like a bunch of buds. Okay.
And they say, look, you make kratom tea. And I'm like, this isn't tea. This is me just putting powder into an existing hot liquid.
Hot water.
Yeah. Now you can't do it in boiling water. You can't do it too hot because it changes like the chemical structure. What the kratom won't be as.
Yeah. And you need every ounce of buzz this thing is willing to give out. You don't want to do anything to limit the already uninspiring buzz you're about to have.
It did work though. It tasted horrible.
Oh.
But 3 grams of this powder, which is like just a level spoonful out of your kitchen drawer. And it wasn't too wild, and it didn't have that kind of chemical made in a Bunsen burn or what's it called? Erlenmeyer flask or whatever.
I don't need any new drugs. Not looking.
Maybe.
Although I think I should keep an open mind. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm working through this, I think I should keep an open mind because I am certainly looking forward to my heroin addiction once I pass 75 years old. That is still on the calendar. That is still something that I'm aiming for. My 75th birthday, I am going to do heroin.
I'm waiting until I get like stage 4 cancer. Then it's heroin and crack. I'm going to do them back to back. I hear that's
right.
great.
I mean, it goes without saying. It should, before I turn 75, I have some sort of, yes, I will absolutely. If my life is over because of something else that has happened to me, yeah, I'm going to turn into a full-fledged junkie. That could happen in the next couple of weeks. We'll see how things play out.
Dude, I've had this life goal ever since I saw a Dateline like 20 years ago where they followed around these 2 ladies that were waiting on their welfare check. They were white chicks that live out in the middle of nowhere. And when their check hit the mailbox, this is how old the story was, they immediately went, cashed it, went to their dealer. They got heroin and crack, right? And so then they would smoke crack and get all jerked up. And in order to come down and calm down, they would do heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm sure they've like OD'd and died by now. But
that sounds like a recipe for it.
I was like, what day is it? Is this on a Tuesday? I don't have this much fun any Saturday of my entire life. And these girls are just going balls to the wall with the 2 biggest, baddest drugs in the world back to back on a Tuesday. And so I was thinking one day that's going to be me. One day when I have nothing to live for, stage 4 cancer, I'm doing that back and forth. Crack heroin, crack heroin, crack heroin. It's going to be the best.
Yeah, I even know, like, I can imagine how I'm going to try heroin on my 75th birthday. I'm not going to be like, my head's not going to be laying in the lap of some skanky white trash trailer girl who's injecting me. No, I'm going to be, here's how we're doing it. We're going to get a hotel suite in the finest hotel in town. I'm going to climb into bed. I may just hire me one of them super expensive escorts to do the work if she's got a history of knowing how to do needles. See, that's the thing. I'm going to need a guy. I'm going to need somebody who knows.
You don't have to do needles. You can just
I don't.
It or smoke it or something.
No, I want to do full on heroin. I want to I want to have that.
No, why not?
I want to have the Burroughs experience. I want to have, I want to see what it was all about. So I'm going to need someone to shoot me up because I don't know how to do that. And I'm thinking maybe I could find like an expensive escort who's a former heroin junkie who might be willing to do it. So we'll have her. It'll be a nice room. We're going to have steaks. No sex or anything like that. It's just going to be steaks and we'll have a nice conversation. And then she's going to shoot me up in this gorgeous hotel room and I'm just going to listen to music and stuff and we'll see where it goes from there.
I don't think you can smash when you're on heroin, can you? Can you still get a boner?
I don't know. I don't want to. First of all, she's an escort, so I don't want to go there.
Love her. What are you worried about getting a disease? This is why we're going balls out anyway. You got nothing to live for.
Yeah, no. Well, you're right. Let's see what she looks like, James. I'm going to be 75. Let's see. You're right. I should keep an open mind because I very well may have sex with that escort.
You're also doing crack and heroin, so you're not concerned about the health effects.
No, you're right. You are absolutely right. I may have sex with her. I mean, like in the vision, in the image of it now, as a man of this age. Yeah, I'm not going to have sex with her. I just need her expertise with spiking me up. Like I need somebody who knows how to do that. And I think prostitutes, that might be a good place to start looking for someone. And they're also for hire. So,
Solid plan.
Yeah. But I'll okay, maybe. I might have sex with, we'll see. Let's see how that works out. All right, James, we're done. There you go. I turned away for like 1 second and the dude was gone. All right, folks, that's going to do it. I've got my Hey, Jeff Ballard. Well, what's going on with you, bro? What do you mean you're skeptical of melatonin gummies? As soon as I take these headphones off, I'm going to go pound 4 of them. I have 4 melatonin gummies every night. I love them. You know what I miss most though? The first couple of times I did melatonin gummies, I had the wildest dreams, like crazy vivid dreams. And I did a little research online, and apparently that's very common. That people have wild, crazy dreams the first couple of times. I'm chasing the dragon ever since. I can't have the dreams anymore. But I do take the melatonin. I think it works great. I like it. Thank you, John. Ross suggests that I just snort the heroin in 20 years or 20 plus years or so. Whenever I decide I'm going to try it. I guess we'll see. Maybe they'll be around too. But I want to do it the way, like, it's been, dare I say, romanticized. The arm and all. I'm gonna be old, retired. Some people golf. I'm gonna become a full-blown junkie. That's the plan. Don't you tell me how to live my life. Don't you tell me. Oh, what? You worried I'm gonna die? You never come to visit anyway. Seriously, let's stop that. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is Jeff says he just started the melatonin routine. He says, I just started them 3 nights ago. It kind of helps, but waiting for the dreams. I got to be honest, man. If you didn't get the dreams already, I don't think you're going to get them. Maybe, are you taking enough? I take a lot. So if you buy I don't know what kind you bought, but I typically just get the Kroger brand vitamins, the generic melatonin gummies. It's like $7-8 or whatever for 80 or I don't even know, whatever. I just buy them. It says that I believe 5 milligrams, maybe it's not even milligrams, but whatever. It says every dose is 5. And that could lead you to think that each gummy is 5. It's not. A dose is 2. So each gummy is 2.5, right? So I take 4. You're not supposed to take that many, but Jeff, go ahead. Live your life, man. Take 4 of them. Let's see if that helps you. Lay down tonight with 20 milligrams of melatonin crushing through your system. I've gone as high as 8 because I like the gummies. They're so good. They're tasty. They're like, oh, these are just like eating candy. I don't need no 401. I don't have oh. Well, Jeff, let's hope you don't have to make that pilgrimage to Dallas. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow at high noon. Love y'all. Bye. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come.